G'day and welcome to day 6 of my 1v1 game against iippabella for round 4 of the Flying Swiss tournament in February of 2022. I'm currently at 61 stars out of the required 63 stars and trying so hard to bring this to a close while iippabella is doing everything they can to stop me from hitting that required number of stars, sending fleets left, right, everywhere, and forcing me to defend all my games. So as we can see over on the right hand side here, iippabella has launched towards Isar and Wasat, but thankfully for me, I have enough to defend against both of them. We also see a fleet launch towards Cheleb and just under 200 ships launched towards Septem. So I'm under assault from all sides, and we can also see 28 heading to El Qaid. But if I've played my cards correctly, I think I should be able to defend against all of these attacks. But let's see. So before we do that, let's compare our statistics so we know where we are at the start of this turn, at the start of this day. I'm 22 stars ahead, and as I said, just 2 stars off winning. I'm about 400 ships ahead, and I've got a ship income lead of about 6 per tick. I'm ahead in science, industry and economy, and while I'm behind in banking, I am ahead in terraforming, and we're equal manufacturing. So now let's move on to all these attacks. Let's see if I can defend against them. So we've got 41 ships heading towards Cheleb. They'll arrive in 8 hours. I've got a fleet on Elniat that can get to Cheleb in 6 hours, and it's got enough to take on this 41. So 41 will die in 41 will die in 9 rounds of defense, so I only need 8 rounds plus 1 ship of defense on Cheleb to prevent the capture. So our 8 rounds of defense is 8 times 4, which is 32, plus 1 ship. So I'm going to send 33 ships to Cheleb, and that will be enough to defend that star. We see an attack on Wasat, 69 ships versus 53. I'll win that because 69 takes 14 rounds of defense to kill, so 13 rounds of attack is 52 plus 1 is 53. And over here, 52 ships coming. I've got 176 ships defending, so I don't need to worry about that because I'm almost 3 times the ship count attacking. Over here, we've got just under 200 ships. In fact, it's 191 ships coming into Septem. So I'll need to defend against that. I've got these I've got these 21 ships coming. They'll drop in 5 hours and then be picked up on the 6th and drop there. So that brings it to 12 hours. Now that fleet will land in 12 hours. That fleet will also land in 12 hours. So when they attack, I'll have the 104 ships from this star. I'll have the 21 ships from this star. And I'll have the 20 ships from this star. So all up, that brings me to just about 145 ships. Now this is under 200 ships, but we'll round it up to 200. That's 40 rounds of defense I need to survive for. So that's 39 rounds of attack I need to survive for. That's 161 ships I need on this star defending. That's not quite enough. I don't quite have enough, so I'm going to redirect these ships from Mizar to Septem. And in fact, I'll get it to wait 2 more ticks on Mizar, so 2 rides on the same turn, and I potentially have an extra 2 ships to defend with, although I am guaranteed 1 ship. Finally, we've also got this fleet of 28 heading towards El Qaid. I've got 19 here, 13 here, 28 here. That will take 4 ticks to get there, and it takes me 4 ticks to defend El Qaid from Faye, and 4 ticks to defend it from Rob. Now, I think I'd like to defend it from Rob, because Alhahoth is a lot less dangerous to me than Rokba is, and I want to keep Faye as protected as I can. So Carrier on Rob, and that can go to El Qaid. And with that, that's all of the fleets, incoming fleets defended against. So now I'm going to get on to my infrastructure purchase for this cycle. Going to put a quarter of my income into science, so that's just under 400. That is 300, 936, it's 9 to 392 credits into science, and that purchases 8 points of science. Secondly, we're going to put 1/3 of the remaining into industry, so that's 409 credits into industry, purchasing 12 points of industry throughout my empire. I'm quite happy with those numbers. That leaves 836 credits for potential warp gates, carriers, and economy at the end of the cycle. With that all done, I'll quickly go through the events and start building some more carriers, maybe a warp gate or two, but moving carriers ships towards the front line so that I can use them in my attack of iippabella. And I'll bring you back in once that's all complete. And welcome back. So I've now given orders to all my carriers, built a few more, and I've actually also changed the orders to a few carriers to redirect which way they're looping. I've also started up a warp gate network on this eastern side of the map. I haven't extended it down to Rasselas, partly because I want to save some economy for later, but also because that is in warp gate range of Akubans, and I don't feel the ability to be able to successfully defend it if I tried. so that can stay unwarp gated for now. I've also decided I'll launch an attack through the centre from Menkalenon to Bede. That's because iippabella just launched 200 ships from the centre, and I have 100 ships there just waiting to attack, and hopefully that will be able to capture Bede. If nothing else, that will lure a number of iippabella's ships up this way, force them to create a warp gate either at Bede or at Azel, and put a lot of effort into defending these central stars, which will detract from their effort in defending the outer stars, allowing me to capture the stars needed to win. So, with all that underway, let's have a look at research. Manufacturing will be done in 3 hours, followed by hyperspace range. I want to get 2 levels of hyperspace range so I can go for Akrab and score, and that way I'll be able to get the 2 stars that I need to win the game if I haven't already gotten them from another method. So that's all for this turn. I'm going to submit and move on to the next turn. We are now at tick 126, so let's have a look at what's happened in the past turn. We can see that iippabella launched 83 ships from Acubans to Rasselas, and seeing as Acubans is warp gated, that would have hit Rasselas and been quite harmful to me, so I'm glad I didn't warp gate it at that time. As it is, I'll have 54 ships defending there. Maybe enough to take out these 83. 83 ships will be taken out in 17 rounds of defense. So 16 rounds of attack is 64 plus 1 is 65 ships needed on Rasselas. So I don't quite have enough ships there to do anything with it. But what I can do is I can send a fleet from Seleno down to Rasselas to recapture the star after losing it to these 83 ships. For now, I will keep this carrier on that star so I can get the perfect amount of defenders, especially since this fleet will land in 7 hours. These 67 ships can start moving down there now. Over on, well, we've looked at this east side. These 41 ships will be taken out at Cheleb. Then we've got the 98 ships coming through the centre to Bede. iippabella doesn't really have the fleets to defend against that, so I think I've got a good chance of taking that star. The 191 ships heading towards Septon. I think I'm going to make that in time. 191. That's 39 rounds of defense. So that's 38 rounds of attack, 120, 8 times 4, 152. So yes, I will make that easily. And I didn't even need these 15 ships to come in. I'm also going to take Alhahoth successfully, and Rockbar is building up ships, so I need to take that out soon, or that will be a nuisance towards this constellation here. But with that all looked at, I'm going to now jump into events and carriers and go through them, adding orders, and I'll bring you back once that's finished. Welcome back. So I've now given orders to all my carriers, built a few more carriers as desired, and I'm ready to look at research. So looking at research, hyperspace range will be done in 2 hours, and then after that there'll be 432, which will be done in 8 ticks after that. So I'll have both levels of hyperspace range done in 10 hours, 8 ticks before the end of the cycle, so I'll be able to launch those carriers, those game-ending carriers, in the last turn of this cycle if I haven't yet won. There are places where I could attack, like Yum and Gukru. Gukru, I don't think it's wise for me to attack because there are 100 ships on Akubans. It can very easily be protected, and if it is, I don't want to have to worry about... if it is protected, I don't want to have to worry about iippabella potentially retaking Izar and Wasat. As for Yum, I could take it now, but then iippabella will just retake it. So when I take it, I want it to be a game ender, so iippabella doesn't have a chance to retake it after me. And besides, I'm already close to taking Bede and El Hahoth anyway, so I don't need to worry about taking Yum or Formal House or any of those stars just yet. I just need to worry about protecting what I have. We are now at tick 132, halfway through the 6th cycle of this game. Looking at the eastern side, we've got these 83 ships hitting the 59 at Rasselas, and probably going to capture it. 59 is just 2 ships short of an extra round of combat, and I think that's the extra round I needed to successfully defend that. Then we've got Cheleb here. That will be just sitting there, making sure that the fleet here can't come take on Cheleb. And in fact, I'll send a carrier to El Rusha to make sure that they can't take El Rusha either. In the center, we've got these ships, 98 ships hitting Bede, and iippabella's built a warp gate there, and is potentially fleeting ships over from their home star. So 84 ships are coming in, and they've got an ETA of 2 hours, just the same as this, so enough to successfully get there and defend. So what I'm going to do is build a warp gate here, and that's one reason why I kept some money from last time. That way, the ETA for this carrier will actually be 1 hour. I'll get there a tick before and defend against these ships. So now what I'm going to do is calculate how many ships I'll have left, and then I'll be able to work out if I need to send more ships over to retake the star, or if that's enough to take it and keep it. You know what? I will take more over anyway, because it won't be enough to keep it with the 19 here from Azel. So that drops in 1 tick. This carrier can wait 1 tick and then fly over there. And that way it will come over with 127 ships. No, 121 ships. Plenty enough to take and keep Bede. So I'm not actually going to bother to calculate that, because that will just be too hard and take too long. Over here, Rakbar can attack Yanfa or Faye, but it can't attack both, and either attack will take more than 1 turn to get there. Here, these 67 ships will retake Rasselas. You know what? I think this turn might be the game ender. These 67 ships will retake Rasselas in time. They can be spotted by iippabella, so they'll retake Rasselas and be enough to defend it. Well, there's no fleets close enough to retake it afterwards, so I'm happy with that, and that's safe. And then Izar could be hit from Akubans. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some ships from here to Izar. Together I've got 260 ships, so I'm going to put 130 on each for perfect symmetry of defense. And that way, neither of them can really be captured this turn, because that has a total ETA of 6 hours, so actually that would be able to be captured this turn. I'll need to put more on Izar. So how many do I need there? I need enough to defend against 108 plus 125, so that's 233, plus 45, so that's 278. I need enough ships on Izar to defend against 278 ships. Unfortunately, I don't think that's enough, because 280 is 40, 80 is 16 rounds of combat, so that's 56 rounds of combat I need to defend against. So I need 55 times 4, that's 220. Okay, 221 ships, that's doable. 75, 220 minus 75, that is 140. So I need 140 ships on this carrier landing at Izar, and I'll be able to keep that from any potential attacks. Now that does mean Wasat is vulnerable, but since that takes 7 hours, I don't need to worry about losing it this turn. Over on this side, I've already said that I don't need to worry about losing any stars this turn. So that is potentially enough for me to submit the turn and win, but just in case something goes wrong that I'm unsure about, I'll just keep on playing anyway. So next step for me to do is check my events and order my carriers. I'll speed through that and bring you back in once I've finished. Okay, and welcome back. I've given orders to all my carriers. I've built a new carrier on my home star. I haven't really bothered doing any carriers on stars that could do with more carriers, such as the ones I've just selected, because I'm really low on cash, and the game is probably over anyway before they make any difference. And if we have a look at technologies, I've already gained 1 level of hyperspace range. I just need 1 level more to go to score and Akrab. So once I finish this level, I don't need to research it again. What I will research though is banking. That will only take 4 ticks, so I'll be able to get hyperspace range and banking, and possibly a 2nd level of banking before the end of the cycle, although that's a stretch and may not actually happen. But that's all for this turn. I'm going to move on to the next turn and see what happens. Well, we're now at tick 138, and as you can see, I have won the game. So my calculations on bead were correct. By moving those extra ships in, I was able to capture and hold the star. And actually, it looks like I didn't need to bring in those extra ships. But I did... No, that was its art. I want to look at the... Because that initial fleet was enough to capture the star, and it looks like no extra ships were brought in from Azul. So that could have been something that iippabella could have tried to do to hold on to the star, but wasn't quite enough. We can see that iippabella tried launching towards Cajun and also towards Faye, but neither of them got there in time to make any difference and stop the game. Looking back, we can see that iippabella built a warp gate on Leone. I think built one there. Yes, that would be equivalent of Fullaris. And that does help get ships to the front sooner. So iippabella seems to have a nice warp gate network. I personally wouldn't have built one here though, because there aren't many there isn't much industry around the place to build ships to take it forwards. I think possibly one on Gracias, or would be better. Or maybe, yeah, because that would link Sheddy to this entire network of warp gates, and also be closer to all this industry. But I must say, well played iippabella. The early warp gates were a little frustrating, but I managed to triumph over them in the end. A little disappointing for you that you didn't get through, but you were a great opponent, and I hope to play you again for a rematch sometime. And to all my viewers, thanks for watching, thanks for sticking with me throughout this series, and you've now seen the conclusion of this game, so thanks for watching the game. I would encourage you to go check out any other games that I've put on my channel, and look around, see if you can find a game you like, and go have a try at Neptune's Pride yourself, especially the 1v1s. It's a great way of practicing your tactical skills, and I really recommend it to everybody. Anyway, see you in the next video.